lot of the feminist project is perpetuated by, like I mentioned earlier, like putting these women on screen in the news in images that, oh, they're so oppressed, they're so innocent, and all they want to do is be protected and be happy and have fun. But it's the men who oppose feminism that are these tyrants and these criminals who are blocking these feminist reforms, these liberal reforms. This is why we have to throw these radicals in prison, these misogynists, so that our innocent women can be happy and free. Like, this is like a psychological manipulation of the human population. All of these feminist reforms, this is how they push it through. They push it through using images of poor, innocent women. Like, look at the invasion of Afghanistan or Iraq. A big part of the marketing campaign in the West, in Europe, and also
WikiLeaks document about that. There's
Yeah, yeah.
WikiLeaks document about that. CIA recommending the European governments to promote feminism, like to use the feminism to promote the propaganda that we are going there for to help the females in Afghan. The Afghanis woman is under depression and using media like in a very harsh way, like to support this claim.
Yeah, they showed pictures, like the images I'm saying specifically. They show images of these Afghan girls, especially, like young girls that they are wearing the burqa or they're wearing some kind of hijab. They take like these kind of emotional pictures that will pull at the heartstrings and will, like the average Westerner in America or Europe is going to open the magazine, like Time magazine had the famous cover photo of an Afghan girl. They'll see that picture like, oh wow, look at these abused Afghan girls. We need to go save them. We need to go, if we have to launch a war to go and, destroy this evil Muslim.
We are the good people.
Yeah, we want to save, we want to save the Muslims. So this is kind of emotional manipulation. And rather than call it, a lot of these feminists, rather than call it out and say like this is destroying our societies, it's destroying our families, it's destroying the human race, they're just perpetuating it. They are part of the problem, and they won't wake up.
You remind me of Morpheus when he was saying in the in the first one, in the first version of the Matrix, saying these people is part of the system and they are benefiting of the system. It is very hard to unplug them because they are like the system is part of them also. They are benefiting of it. So that's why how deep this this propaganda, especially the emotional manipulation, I call it social engineering on a global level. It is really social engineering on collective level, using this emotional pitches, let's say, to persuade or to manipulate the general public opinion, the taxpayers, quote unquote, to support the military action against someone who's sitting in a village around 8,000 miles away.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. The influence of feminism is very clear in the Muslim world, and they're actively trying to implant feminist ideas. Then this is very clear. The U.S. government and the State Department within the executive branch of the U.S. government has stated that we want to influence Muslim women. That is our primary goal. We have to, in order to advance our strategic interests in the region, in Muslim nations. So what they do is there are a variety of methods. Sometimes it's brute force with countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, where they have invaded and occupied, and they are implementing these kinds of feminist programs in the countries. That in the case of Afghanistan, for example, and Iraq, they've been complete failures because the population, the women, are not willing to accept these kinds of feminist ideas. But in other places like Pakistan, in Malaysia, for example, in Turkey, increasingly in Morocco, in Tunisia, Algeria, they send these NGOs, non-governmental organizations. And these NGOs have millions of dollars in backing. The money is coming from individual donors, but it's also coming from certain corporations, and it's also coming from the federal government.
USAID, UN Women. like, and other
All of
UNICEF.
these, all of
Yeah.
these, exactly. So Ford Foundation, Asia Foundation, Open Societies Foundation, all of these fund these NGOs that go to Malaysia, for example. Like we can say Malaysia, and then they start an organization like for Muslim women's rights, and they hire volunteers or workers or kind of social media managers, activists from Malaysia, like those who are more liberally inclined. They come and work for these NGOs, so that it looks authentic. It looks, this is what the people want. Oh, my camera is blurry. They work for the NGO, and then they do programs on the ground. But a lot of what they do is just social media manipulation. Like they will go on, you know, like your channel or my channel, and they will say in the language, right, in the local language, that this is garbage. You know, we need women's rights, or they will support different kinds of accounts, social media accounts of liberal feminist activists in that country, and they will put a lot of likes, they'll put a lot of comments to make it seem like these are popular organic movements in the country, in the society, that are supporting these kinds of liberal feminist reforms. They will have like actual political agitation. They'll work with local politicians to say, okay, we want to have a march. We want to have a march about LGBT, or we want to have a women's march or an Awrat march in Pakistan, for example, or Turkey. And they will pay people, local people, to come to these kinds of street demonstrations. They'll print out the signs like, oh, you know, we want, you know, career roles, not dinner rolls, or something stupid like that, like something catchy. And you can tell because the same slogans are being used in all of these different countries. All of these Muslim countries, they have the same kind of slogans on their posters, and then they go out into the street, and then the media takes pictures of these demonstrations and broadcasts it on the news in that country to make it seem like, and then those images and that video also comes to the West, and it makes it seem, oh, see, look, the Muslims are so they desire these kinds of Western reforms and these feminist reforms, that women are tired of being under the foot of Muslim men, women are tired of the veil, women are tired of being at home taking care of children, they want to be more than baby making machines, they want to be, you know, in the corporate office working for their, you know, their rights and their livelihood. So this is just it's a media operation. It's a psychological operation that is implanted in all of these countries that have traditional values, and the purpose is to make it seem like Muslims hate the Sharia, Muslims hate Islam. They are constantly wanting to reform it. They're constantly wanting to change it, to adopt, you know, the amazing, beautiful, more rational Western model, feminist model.
You remind me of one protest that happened around 2 years ago in Jordan, and I was living out of Jordan in that time. I was living in Dubai, so I wrote an article about the organizer of that protest. Her name is Salman Nimes. She's the head of جمعية المرأة الأردنية, which is the Jordanian Female Association.
Society.
Yeah. So she was holding a sign. That written on it, بلد الأمن والأمان للذكور فقط, which is the safety country for only males. And I said, wait, stop, what? And I got the numbers from the Interior Ministry, which is the criminal record for crimes, like generally, in that year. And I showed, like, I posted the numbers beside this woman. They said, like, this woman saying it is only safe for men, it's not safe for women, while we are comparing the murder victims. We have 7 women with 128 men in the same year. How is it very safe for men? How? She just blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when they can't answer, when they can't respond. So,
Yeah, I got the first threat, by the way, like around 5 days ago. The
oh,
first
subhanallah.
threat to be sued, to take me to the court. Said,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, because I never attack someone personally. I do not
Yeah.
attack, even if she's like a Jordanian feminist. I do not curse or attack her personally. I'm just saying she said that, and let's break down what she said. So I'm criticizing the ideas, not the person himself. By the way, I don't know if if you heard that like from me or about me. I lost over than 130,000 follower on Facebook.
Oh,
That's why I left Facebook.
wow.
I lost the first page, which is over 100,000, and I lost the second page over 20,000. Then I left it
Wow.
because they are responding. When I left it, because I was like really like a long, let's say, long breath fighter on Facebook. I was getting like strikes and disputing it, sending emails and doing this and that, trying to fight to exist actually. But until like one of my friend, he have page like big pages by millions. Usually Facebook invite him for some events, and I gave him a call. He's Lebanese. Told him like what's really happening, because he used to follow my page. Said like, is what I'm talking is really very offensive and like considered hate speech? Tell me no. Told him, okay, what is the real issue here? Told me, do you know who's running the office of the Middle East region of Facebook in Dubai? I told them no. Told me I invited to their events and I saw them. He told me who's in charge of the department of the complaints and report on the Middle Eastern Facebook. Told him who? He says Anis, which is unmarried woman over 30, fat and feminist. Told him, okay, now I got it. Now I got it why I was banned time over time over time. Like I used to have 6 Facebook account, because this will get banned. I will use the other one. It will get banned. I will use the third one. It will get banned. Everything that you write, when they have this eye on you, they will ban you consistently. 30 days, you will write one comment. You will get more 30 days. You will write one comment. You will get more 30 days. Some like one of the bans, I got it because of link. It is link, but the algorithms do not like what is written inside the link. It was like it was piece of news. They don't like it, so they banned me over a link. Can you believe that?
Yeah, subhanallah. This is the reality. So what I've been doing with my audience is I've been trying to get them off of, not off completely of social media, because that I'm on social media like Facebook and YouTube, and but like the Twitter thing, they just ban you, right? And you've experienced
Mhm.
that. So we have to have other ways of communicating with our audience. So that's why I've been doing a lot on Telegram, my Telegram channel. Also, websites, being more active on the website, having more content on the website than just on social media. Because, and then also email lists. So, developing an email list, so that you have a way to communicate with your audience and provide them material when social media, like these big tech companies, decide to finally pull the plug, because that's unfortunately inevitable. And all of us are on these we're being monitored basically, and they are just waiting for any opportunity to shut us down. And they also will try to provoke, they'll send agents. I don't know if you've experienced this, but they'll send people in your email or your direct messages. They'll say, "Oh, Daniel, don't you think that we should have a violent revolution, or don't you think we should like engage in some kind of act of violence?" So they're just waiting for you to say something like that, and not only will your accounts be banned, but they will actually report you to authorities, or they are the authorities, so they know, and they will start putting all kinds of legal pressure on you, criminal charges against you. So I've seen people who fall into this entrapment. It's an active policy of these intelligence agencies, unfortunately. Yeah, well, what these feminists want, and what is increasingly happening, is they want to outlaw any kind of opposition to feminism, and they want to equate red pill or just any kind of opposition with the liberal feminist program as not only misogynistic but actually extremist hate speech that can potentially lead or inspire someone to violence. So that they want to say is that Coach Karim is talking about these issues. He is potentially radicalizing men, Muslim men, and this is a security threat. So the state, the government, is justified in, surveilling, harassing Coach Karim, putting him in jail, for example, detaining him. بعد الشر يعني. Allah forbid that to happen. But this is what they want, to just control all speech. And
Silence people.
silence all people. They have to do that because people, if there's an open flow of information on social, especially on social media, because that's where everyone is these days. They're operating on social media. If people are allowed to operate freely, and like you shared that tweet or you shared, some statistics, the reality shows how backwards feminism is. The reality is very clear that feminism is toxic. It destroys life, it destroys marriages, it destroys families. That's all of the data, and the statistics prove that. So this is a big threat to the secular feminist liberal regime. They have to censor that in order to push their agenda, to push their propaganda. If they let an open discourse, open debate, they will be refuted 1,000 times over. So they have to block and censor. They have to say, for example, my Twitter account was suspended, permanently suspended. They have to block people like me because they can't deal with the ideas. They have to say that Daniel or Coach Karim or Abu American or Mahdi, we are extremists, we are misogynists that are promoting a violent ideology. They might not advocate violence themselves, because we don't. No, I don't advocate anything illegal.
Of course.
I don't advocate any kind of terrorism or violence. But they say, no. Your ideas could potentially radicalize someone. Therefore, we are justified in censoring it. And now they want to even go further, that we are justified in freezing your finances. We are justified in seizing your assets. We are justified in putting you in prison. This is a authoritarian, totalitarian regime that is attempting to stamp out all opposition, opposition to even the most basic things. Like if you say, like, yeah, I'm not sure that there's 152 genders. Okay, you're an extremist. Time for you to get into the concentration camp.
That's hate speech.
That's hate speech. That's radicalizing speech. You think that, in a marriage, the man should have more authority, and this is the way that God wants it, and women should be obedient to their husband? That means you're a radical extremist. That means you are radicalizing people. You should be, your assets should be frozen, and you should be put in jail. This is what they want to do, and it is happening. It is happening. They've done it for many different aspects of Islam. Like, you can't advocate certain teachings of Islam in many countries, especially in the Arab world. I don't want to say anything that will get you in trouble, but you have to be careful what you say if you're living in the Arab world, because there could be consequences, because it's been outlawed. They want to do the same thing. They want to extend it, always pushing the line, so that there's no criticism of liberalism allowed. Nothing is left to say against feminism or liberalism. Otherwise, you're going to be killed or put in prison. And they want to claim that, feminism is spreading around the world because it's so persuasive and everyone loves equality. Everyone wants to live this kind of feminist life. No, you're forcing it. You are imposing it brutally with a brutal regime of dominance. That's the only way that these ideas can spread. But you want to pretend like it's so rational. No, it's garbage. What Islam prescribes, traditional Islam, as it has been practiced for 1400 years, that is what is most rational. That is what is most wholesome and conformant with nature and human nature and human psychology. But you want to erase that, and you do it in the most brutal and biased fashion, And yet you want to go around and waltz and prance around, oh, we are so rational and tolerant and we believe in equality and freedom. This is garbage. This is a hoax. This is like the biggest hoax that has ever been pulled on humanity.
That was epic. I hope someone will translate that.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.